Hamas is blaming Israel for the deaths. A Hamas spokesman said the hostages were killed
That's
by
crazy.
Israel's bombing.
Whoa. It's not crazy that Hamas is saying, like, the bombs obviously killed them. What the fuck are you guys talking about? But it's crazy that they're showing the Hamas statement in Western media. That is wild. Whoa. This is new. Chat, this is one of the first times where I have heard Western mainstream fucking media openly state this is Hamas's position and it is at odds with Israel. That is crazy. 6 of the hostage bodies were found and they're dead. And it's a tricky situation because I haven't even looked into it that much. Israel is obviously on fire over it. But there's massive protests happening in Tel Aviv where they're like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Get the ceasefire done, you piece of shit. Tens of thousands of Israelis demonstrated tonight in Tel Aviv protesting the Netanyahu government steps that delay the Gaza hostage deal. Like, shit is completely out of control. Israeli workers will go on a major strike tomorrow. We're going to be talking about that. It's like, if the politicians don't do the job, the people will. You know what I mean? One of the hostages that was found was the son of that hostage family that talked to the DNC. Yeah, I know. It's crazy that, like, obviously Israelis, like Israeli society, by and large, is blaming Benjamin Netanyahu, it seems, or at least, like, the people that are protesting are blaming Benjamin Netanyahu for refusing to fucking come to terms. And Bibi is, like, spiraling out of control. He might do some fucking crazy shit as a last-ditch effort. So it's definitely a situation that we're going to be keeping a close eye on. We'll start off with that today. Hirsch Goldberg, who was rescued, said the following when he was alive. Benjamin Netanyahu and his government should be ashamed of yourselves, because the Air Force bombings killed about 70 detainees like me because all the deals that were offered to you that were rejected. Obviously, this is like, you know, this could be easily coerced as well. But it does correspond to like what a lot of the hostages have said, including Noah Argani, who literally, he was under duress and it was coerced for sure. But like, you have to remember, hostages that are no longer fucking coerced and under duress have said similar things in terms of like, how the fuck have you not done a hostage deal? Or we were more afraid of the Israeli bombings than we were of like our captors in general. So that is something that like has consistently been a through line for all of the fucking hostages that have been released, okay, that are like alive and in Israel. So in terms of like obviously looking at hostage testimony when they're literally in captivity, of course it's going to be duress. Of course there is going to be a level of coercion going on, but you need to understand like if this cut entirely against like what hostages that have been freed are saying, that would be a different circumstance. But hostages that have been fucking freed have said the exact same shit, and they have no reason to defend the people who held them captive at goddamn gunpoint. And also the families of the hostages have been treated as straight up in Israel, have been treated as an afterthought or a nuisance, like people who are spoiling Benjamin Netanyahu's ultimate goal of continuing this fucking genocide. And people who themselves in Israel who want to continue the genocide, because there are plenty of people who do want to continue the genocide, are still like, dog, fucking do the deal first. What the fuck is wrong with you? So obviously we'll be talking about this quite a bit in the upcoming days, considering that it's seemingly coming to like a final moment. It feels as though this is a great escalation of tensions in general. Every time there's like new information about any of the hostages that have been killed, obviously it's like the final straw, it seems, but we'll see. Do you think the Israeli opposition was contacted by the U.S. to spark this end? No, dude. First of all, Israeli and the U.S. is like this, okay? America would not fuck up the bag for Israel because they could have a much easier chance of like making sure that the situation is resolved in an amicable fashion by pushing for a fucking ceasefire. Like they already have that and they're not even using that. America is literally aligned with Benjamin Netanyahu. America's own guy in the cabinet literally fucking quit. They tried to like push and pull in some ways and they genuinely failed to do so by like having their guy Benny Gantz leave the fucking cabinet unceremoniously. So they're doing all the worst shit, letting Israel do whatever the fuck it wants, letting the Israeli war cabinet and the Israeli government do whatever the fuck it wants is perhaps the worst possible thing you can do. That's the situation. U.S. officials once again give cover to Netanyahu. Meanwhile, in Israel, everyone is blaming Netanyahu. I know. Once again, the United States of America's response to the situation is in clear contrast of the Israeli public's response to the situation. If you recall, I said this early October. Remember, We post the posters of the kidnapped, the hostages for a very different propaganda purpose here in the United States of America as opposed to in Israel. It is the Likudniks that were taking down the fucking hostage posters in Israel because the hostage families were like, our people are there, our family members are there, our cherished loved ones are in Gaza. Stop bombing. Get a fucking ceasefire, which the Israeli government was obviously, for the past 11 months, allergic to. In America, however, the hostage posters were used as an offensive propaganda to be like, yeah, no, this is why Israel has to keep fucking bombing Gaza, ironically killing fucking the family members. So that attitude has still remained in Israel in terms of like hostage families and the way that they have been treated by the government, the way that they have made their demands known to the government versus Western media completely outflanking and dick riding the most ridiculous Likudnik party line here in the Western world. It is crazy. This does not mean that those hostage family protesters are actually super woke and anti-Zionist by any measure. I'm not saying that at all. Many of them probably still want the continuation of death and destruction in Gaza, but they also understand that those bombs are falling on their family members. They also understand that Benjamin Netanyahu's reluctance to come to an agreement with a ceasefire proposal and a hostage negotiation is probably killing their family members. So you have to remember that, okay? You have to remember that when we analyze the situation. The attitude in Israel is very different than the attitude in the United States of America due to the closeness that many people feel in terms of like their loved ones being still stuck in Gaza.
Israeli military says it recovered the bodies of 6 hostages from an underground tunnel in Gaza on Saturday. The IDF has identified all 6 bodies, which include Israeli-American Hirsch Goldberg, Poland. The Israeli Defense.
So Hirsch Goldberg, Poland, is the Israeli-American whose family members spoke at the fucking DNC. His family members, his mom and dad, are the people that spoke at the DNC, if you remember. So this obviously is more personal for a lot of other people.
Defense minister said the hostages were killed just before troops could reach them.
According to the initial assessment at our disposal, they were brutally murdered by Hamas terrorists a short while before we reached them. They were abducted alive on the morning of October 7th by the Hamas terror organization.
Hamas is blaming Israel for the deaths. A Hamas spokesman said the hostages were killed
That's
by
crazy.
Israel's bombing.
Whoa. It's not crazy that Hamas is saying like the bombs obviously killed them. What the fuck are you guys talking about? But it's crazy that they're showing the Hamas statement in Western media. That is wild. Whoa, this is new. Chat, this is, in the past 11 months of ongoing genocide, this is one of the first times where I have heard Western mainstream fucking media openly state this is Hamas's position and it is at odds with Israel. That is crazy. I got fucking goosebumps, dude. That is crazy. I've never actually seen any kind of autonomy or sovereignty or any kind of like individual attitude from the side of terrorist barbarians, which is the way that they are depicted usually. That is a wild change of pace. As an Israeli, I've had zero hope, but this general strike is the genuine end of this genocide. The strike is total and inevitable. What's interesting about the general strike is that there's a couple different things. Israel's economy is in the shitter, right? It is fucking screaming bloody murder. That's number one. Number two, Israeli interior security is at an all-time low as a direct consequence of the offensive campaign that they're not only conducting in Gaza, but the offensive campaign that they're conducting in the West Bank. So they don't even have enough, in my opinion, and I don't know how they will be able to deal with this, but they don't have enough fucking, like, they don't have adequate coverage if there is a massive, massive general strike that occurs in Israel. So, like, they won't even be able to fucking bust out the APCs and shit that they've used in the Supreme Court protest that happened a couple years prior. So, like, it's gotten to a point where it does genuinely feel like a change might occur. Like, it does genuinely feel like a change might happen. Yeah, money is dried up. Israeli startups are folding one after another. You know, there is the Israeli economy was downgraded again a month ago. And not only that, but also you got one port that is completely bankrupt. You have the embargo from Turkey that has like actually shut off some consumer goods to Israel. Like, these are genuine changes that are happening in Israeli society that otherwise has been used to these comforts that you get from being the vassal state, the unsinkable aircraft carrier of the United States of America. It is by definition a part of the imperial core, right? Like, the way that people have designed their lives, the way that people are accustomed to certain things will create a genuine point of pressure, right? And I think that pressure is going to keep mounting, and we will see. Did you see this going on almost a whole year? Yes, I did. Once the bear hug happened, I was like, this is going to continue for as long as Benjamin Netanyahu wishes it.